He implements new
All
sanctions.
right.
Today, the U.S. president calling on all NATO members to stop buying Russian oil and impose 50
Yo,
to
Sigma,
100%
bro. What's
tariffs
good,
on
bro?
China until the end of the war. China is a major purchaser of Russian oil, which is crucial in financing its war efforts.
It's a way to sound tough, but at the end of the day, he won't have to do anything because he has set the bar too high.
Yo, it's
Experts
Mike
say
Monday
Trump's
on
demands may
Fortnite.
be unlikely
Do?
to happen, but they highlight Canada's
Though?
precarious position. Caught
I mean, it's
between
Mike
global
Monday in
superpowers
general.
and in trade disputes with both.
Although I don't really have anyone to play this game with.
Just firmly locking us into one position on everything with one particular partner, one particular country.
But it's not 2 yet. You said you wanted to play at 2.
Some say it represents an existential problem for Canada. They say significant and immediate security and foreign policy investments will be needed to be able to protect Canadian interests on the world stage.
But we don't have 5 years. We have a year, maybe 2, to turn this around. After that, I'm worried that we're going to be...
I got blocked from commenting on a live stream. So the live stream was a protest happening in my city. And I commented saying stuff like, no more immigration, no more immigrants, you know, free Canada, all that kind of stuff. And I was like blocked from commenting on that live stream because I know I'm not allowed to speak my truths. Isn't it like illegal to like block somebody's speech because of their political views unless those views are viewed as too radical, I guess? I don't know, I meant to say 120? Nah, bro, you just wanted to play. We got 30 minutes until it's 2. And don't get me wrong, I love immigrants. If it was just like, just one kind of person, people inside of Canada, it'd be boring, it'd be lame. So I love immigrants. It actually adds some cool diversity to this country. But if we have too many immigrants all at once, like just, you know, let's say you have 10 people in a room, right? If you put one extra person in that room, those other 10 people, they're going to be able to react well because it's just one person they have to get used to. But if you have a room filled with 10 people, and you go and put 10 more people in that room, that's going to be a lot more complicated than if you put one person in that room, right? Those 10 new people might try to take over the room. They might try to be assertive on the rules of the room. They might not try to even get to know the other 10 people in that room that were originally in that room. Now that can be applied to a country, you know, if you have like, you know, 40 million people and you let in like 5 million, 6 million, 10 million people, that's basically like adding 10 people to a room filled with 10 people.
The battle starts in 5.
Okay, maybe not quite because that's implying that your capacity is being doubled, but I mean still. Even like 1/5 of a population or something like that, or even like 5% of the population is too much to bring in all at once, if that makes sense. How did I jump so high? But yeah, I'll be on Fortnite probably in like 30 minutes.
We didn't ask to be heroes, but we always answer the call.
I feel like my audience on YouTube's too young to, and not mature enough to engage with like political topics. Which sucks because like as fun as gaming is and gaming with you guys is, I feel like I want to like do something with this channel, like do something important, make some sort of difference.
Oral health affects your heart, your body, your life.
You got a girlfriend? Not currently. Damn, I was being... Oh, there was the Groot up top. I didn't see him. You need one, man?
Francis overhead as Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli's voice washed over the crowd. Bocelli was co-director of the Grace for the World.
Nah, I've taken myself off the market for quite some time. Not gonna lie, most of the last like decade of my life, I was like in relationships back and forth, like just never really took time for myself until now, since I was like frickin' 14, 13. So it feels nice just focusing on myself.
But missing from the lineup is Alex Warren, fresh off the MTV VMAs Best New Artist win. I did cry for a hot second about it. Last week, in an outdated post, Solo announced Warren, quote, decided not to join this year's festival due to scheduling conflict.
I am going through a lot of stuff. I've been touring all year.
Warren told fans on TikTok he asked for time off.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Suggesting the festival should have told fans earlier.
I am sorry.
That video has more than 20 million views. Organizers call it all a miscommunication.
There's so many people that are involved in the booking process of these, worldwide artists.
I think maybe I have to look for a conservative woman.
Adam Baldwin is taking the
I think that's been part of my issue.
The festival's benefits go beyond music.
You need like a traditional, cultural, conservative Canadian girlfriend, probably. 99th place.
The fun continues tomorrow, and the Solo team says next year's lineup is already in the works, with the first artist announcements coming later this year.
What's your take on immigration? I know you're not like from Canada, so you might have different views.
I heard stories of being held at knife point. I heard stories of being punched. The drastic steps being taken to address rising violence at a Manitoba health center.
I'm a kid.
Frontline healthcare workers
Fair enough.
rising violence at Manitoba's
Oh, when you hit the drum, it actually drums.
unacceptable danger to employees as well as patients. Now, CTV's Alex Carpa says the province is taking concrete steps to address the threat.
In response to recent violent incidents at Winnipeg's Health Sciences Center, police officers recently stationed at the province's largest hospital on a permanent basis.
Well, I think it's a positive step. I'm pleased to see this. I think it's a positive move, but it is just one move.
This decision from the province is in an effort to address ongoing safety concerns at the hospital. A recent doctor's Manitoba survey found 5% of physical safety incidents among physicians
That's fine.
last year took place at HSC.
Healthcare is a really high-risk profession, and I think it's always been that way, but it seems to be increasing in risk lately.
Jennifer Dunsford is a registered nurse. She has not been a victim of violence.
Speaking of nurses, that used to be a profession, like nurses and doctors used to be like the professions you'd associate with foreign people coming here and getting jobs. It's like, for example, it used to be like a stereotype almost when an Indian would come here that they would be a doctor. And it necessarily wasn't all that false either. But now a lot of people come here and they fill entry-level jobs, which makes it hard for the young Canadians that lived here all their life and were promised, you know, entry-level jobs and work experience to climb the corporate ladder, now are having trouble finding those jobs because they're all being filled. And I don't mean to sound insensitive, but when you hire a bunch of let's just use Indians for example, because we were talking about them already. When you hire a bunch of them to work at, let's say, McDonald's, even if there's like 3 or 4 of them, somehow they make it to where they hire only people of their own racial preferences. if that makes sense. More or less, that's when they have the manager as someone who is also of that race. But I've noticed that it's like, you'll go into a McDonald's, you'll see like 5 Indians, a Middle Easterner, and then a black person, but the white person's just not there unless it's like a different McDonald's. Like my city's just kind of really like got a lot of immigrants here specifically. So that being said, it just like all the people that were here before the mass immigrations are now struggling. Shoot, even the immigrants that came here are now struggling too. Like they're still thrown into the same like struggles most of the time. So I mean, I feel bad for like not just like us, but for them too, you know. They came here wanting a better life and they were promised a better life, and you know, in the long run they're not really getting it now. That's my short and simple, short and sweet take on immigration. I don't blame them for coming here because of, you know, whatever. I might have to go, like, move somewhere else eventually. So I might literally have to do the same thing. Trying to look through the news real quick, see if anything crazy's happening. From what I remember hearing, Russia didn't really stop with their testing. Like they're pushing it and they're testing NATO right now. China and Russia. Things are like, we're quite literally edging on World War III right now. In this world, like, this isn't even jokes. The world is literally at this very moment edging World War III. Could very well happen this year for all we know, or next year, or hopefully we could pray and hope that it just, you know, doesn't happen. Why did Fortnite die so much out of nowhere? Like, I stopped playing it, and then I started playing it again, and when I started playing it again, there's like nobody playing it anymore. Like, I have over 1,000 friends in my friends list, and when I log on, and I see no more than like freaking 6 to 20 people, 6 to 20 max, there's something wrong. Like, people just don't like Fortnite anymore. I missed the memo. Unironically, I stopped playing it around the same time as everybody else must have stopped playing it. So I guess I did get the memo. Or maybe like I was the glue. I was the glue that held it together. And then once I stopped playing, everyone's just like, wait, why do I play this still? This game is kind of fun. Marvel Rivals is, I don't see it as like being the most fun in the world. It's good though. Like, it's alright. I like that you actually get to rely on your teammates a little bit more. Did I unlock something? How does it get you? How do you... Okay, you get it from doing this stuff, I guess, right? India accused of renewed threats against Canadians. What? This is in the For You, and this is global news. India accused of renewed threats against Canadians? Bro. I literally, like, 100% agree that I sound like a crazy person whenever I talk about, like, conspiracies and, like, my feelings on shit, and then I see a headline like that, and I'm just thinking, what the hell, man? Am I right about, like, everything? What the hell's happening with this? Free, free Canada, bum, 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 bum. Free, free Canada, bum, 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 bum. Free. I like it. It's got a good ring to it. Got a great ring to it. Do I even want to play Fortnite? Do I even like Fortnite? I don't know. OG's okay. I like OG. Where do I see my level? I'm level 10, I think. So I need to unlock 5 more levels until competitive. I don't have any idea what arcade is. Conquest. Clone Rumble, Conquest, Giant Size Brain Blast, Free Fight, Doom Match. Huh. How much even is this? It costs a different kind of token? It costs these yellow ones? You get some yellow ones back. How much do those things cost? Oh, you can buy just 100. It's about the same as V-Bucks. I think V-Bucks are just a bit cheaper. Or maybe about the same, I don't know. With taxes, it's like 15, 16 bucks for 1,000. Sigma, Sigma on the wall. Who's the Sigma on the wall? What's good? What is good? I feel good. Like, you know, you should. Or I forget how the rest of the song goes. What's good, Sigma? You got Ligma? Do you like pizza more or burgers more? To be honest, burgers. Got more protein in it.
From his predecessor and the RCMP that the Indian government was responsible for the murder of Sikh activist Hardeep Nijjar.
He said Nijjar.
Of other violent crimes on Canadian soil. After a brief reprieve,
he did.
Listen, those allegations.
The dude's name. Don't get mad at me.
Of Sikh activist Hardeep Nijjar.
See?
Along with a string of other violent crimes on Canadian soil. After a brief reprieve following those allegations, Sikh activists say it now appears India has picked up where it left off.
We were notified that there was a threat to my life.
After Nijjar was shot dead outside his BC Sikh temple in 2023, Inderjeet Gosal assumed his duties, campaigning for a Sikh separatist state in India's Punjab region, with plans to hold a symbolic referendum in Canada in November.
30 seconds before
But this week, Gosal received a call from the RCMP. He says he was told there was a credible threat against his life, and the Indian government was behind it.
There is intelligence stating that they are here, and they're ready to take me out.
And Gosal is not alone. Over the past month, at least 4 other Sikh activists have received similar warnings from police.
Let me just... So, it's a known thing that Canada has been infiltrated by other places, governments, and police forces. So, for example, China actually had some, like, Chinese police that, like, were going unnoticed and stuff, literally arresting their citizens if doing anything wrong in our country. We're, like, operating within our country's lines, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not that shocking that India would do the same thing. You know, if one of their citizens is acting out and saying stuff they don't want them to say, they take him out. That's a scary world to live in. So yeah, Canada's been infiltrated. And I mean it. Where's our team? We have like just me as a healer and nobody's actually pressing up, so I can't heal.
I won't disappear so easily.
I don't get it, man. But that's fucked up, man. They have like... That's messed up. They have them operating...
Like we don't matter. What other community is being targeted by a foreign government for assassinations, shootings, extortions? And it's completely being ignored.
Sources told Global News last year that the 3 men accused of killing Nijjar are connected to India's notorious Bishnoi gang. The RCMP says the Indian government contracts organized crime groups like Bishnoi to conduct its dirty work against Canadians. past 6 months have seen a surge of criminal activity across Canada.
Bro, this team sucks.
The gang has been blamed or taken credit, including murders, shootings, and extortions.
We are seeing the Vishnoi gang on an absolute rampage across Canada, and the Canadian government seems like it has no desire to do anything. It's all about trade and supply chains, and nothing about safety and security.
Gosel says police advised him to stop his activism for his own safety. The young father says that's exactly what India wants.
Me sitting out, staying low is not an option. And nor, I'd rather take the bullet and go and try.
Just on Global News, Toronto. I know this room didn't take the summer off, so it's not really back to school. But September always has that feel.
Yeah, we lose.
And let's face it, we are in a crisis. We are in a crisis. The global trading
Counter on WOST Center.
Federal politicians are heading back to Ottawa tomorrow, with Parliament reconvening for the fall session. Mark Carney's minority Liberal government has already announced several...
We're getting some insight on where trade talks between China and the U.S. stand, with President Donald Trump saying things are moving in a positive direction. Also, he's hinting that there may be an agreement on the TikTok app just days before a ban. So this is a post Trump made on the social media platform Truth Social.
I'm currently in Belarus, where the joint Russia-Belarus Zapad 2025 military exercises are underway with thousands of troops. Today, international media were invited to watch demonstrations of live fire, drone airstrikes, and mobile fire groups on motorcycles and bikes. The exercises also included air defense support and the evacuation of wounded soldiers and damaged equipment using robotic vehicles. The drills have worried neighboring countries, especially after Russian drones recently entered Polish airspace, with some reportedly having dropped.
Bro, that's lucky.
Israeli air and artillery fire continue to bombard Gaza. Local health officials say dozens of people were killed yesterday, most of them in Gaza City. Journalist Dominic Velitis joins us now from Bristol, England. Dominic, what more can you tell us about what happened here?
Feel the pull!
Yeah, good morning, Marianne. Well, let's start by showing you some footage that was taken today, showing the aftermath of those overnight Israeli airstrikes on evacuated residential buildings in Gaza City. As you can see, widespread devastation there. Damage too, incidentally, Marianne, to people's tents who were camping nearby at this particular site. Those people claiming that they, due to the ongoing military action, no longer have anywhere to live and simply cannot afford to make the costly journey south. Unverified reports too this morning, as you mentioned there, Marianne, that two UN schools that were being used to shelter Palestinians in Gaza City have also been bombed after Israel issued evacuation orders for them. Meanwhile, in terms of casualty figures, local health authorities in Gaza say at least 40 Palestinians were killed in the Strip yesterday alone. Most of those people died in Gaza City, where many residents are staying put despite those repeated Israeli orders to leave the area. Israel, Marianne, certainly pushing ahead with its plan to take full control of Gaza City, with its army confirming earlier that it had hit around about 500 sites this week alone. Now, there's no word on any casualty figures within that specific time frame, but we have been hearing this week. The former Israeli army chief, Herzi Halevi, told a community meeting in southern Israel earlier this week that more than 200,000 Palestinians have been killed or injured since this war began. And he told his audience that not once during the conflict were military operations inhibited by any legal advice whatsoever. Marianne.
Thanks so much for this, Dominic. That's journalist Dominic Velitis in Bristol, England.
Fantastic! Come on!
The West Bank is central to the conflict between Palestine and Israel. For Palestinians, it is basically at the heart of what should be a Palestinian state.
I told you. Please turn around, turn off the camera, and go away.
So where have you filmed that?
This is the order. Understand? 3 minutes. That's all.
Okay, that's it. And the Israelis, though, they believe that the West Bank should actually belong to Israel, particularly on the right. They actually want to annex the whole of the West Bank.
First, let's get the facts straight. There is no such thing as a Palestinian people.
Recently, countries like the United Kingdom and France have indicated a willingness to recognize the state of Palestine. That would be, if it worked, the two-state solution.
GG.
The question, though, is it even...
I held it for as long as I could. That stinks.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Alright, I am back. I went into the passenger seat of my car and then a random person entered it and started driving it, not knowing I was still in the car. Hello? Yeah, that's an old school trick. They used to have these shadow henchman cars or whatever, like these special cars that had like very tinted windows, and I would wear the all black superhero, which back then you could do. And yeah, anytime somebody would be getting close to the car, they wouldn't know me and my buddy would be in the back seat of the car just waiting until they get close, and then we'd both be like 3, 2, 1, and then bam, bam. Old school. Classic. And you don't give a visual sound effect of being in a car when you're in the passenger seat. So another trick is, like, if you're rotating to a zone, you hit the gas and the boost, and then you just switch seats and let it like roll the rest of the way, because then nobody sees the visuals. And then you might get a free ride if somebody you know, hops in and brings you even further. You and 2 people, lock in, you got this. No more typing until you win or lose. Lock in. 1v1 now? Okay, lock in. There's gotta be some big news in the world right now, right? Not seeing anything breaking news today. What about if we check this? This usually gives me more global stuff.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, who will introduce his first budget in October. Carney has already warned of austerity measures to come, saying last week, quote, "These are tough times, and there is still no deal on tariffs with the White House." Now, opposition leader Pierre Poilievre will be back in the chamber after securing a return to the Commons in an Alberta by-election last month. And he will face off with Carney for the first time later today during question period this afternoon. So for our coverage, let's head over to our parliamentary reporter, Janice McGregor.
Having the comments disabled tells you a lot about the news channel that you're watching. If you can't comment on it, it tells you a lot. Because there's plenty of these traditional news media outlets out there that you can comment, where the comments are not disabled. Tells you a lot. Wait, it's 2? Yeah, 2 for me, not 2 for you. I thought you meant 2 for you. I thought you wanted 3 my time. My time, your time, it's all the same. Can play now, please. Very soon. I just want to enjoy like a couple more matches of this game before I hop off, and then I'll switch over to Fortnite and play that for a little while. Just because I've only played like one game on here so far, one or two. Bro, it makes a sound effect every like 10 seconds. It's so annoying. Alright, let's get in it.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
She's going to set everything up for us. So Janice, tell us a little bit more about what you're watching for on this day one of the fall sitting.
Indeed, and look, Mark Carney has been really clear about the need for his government to be moving at speed, to be getting a lot of urgent work done at a time when there is an awful lot that's concerning both of the economy and in terms of the geopolitics around the world. But it is very difficult to move quickly from a legislative point of view when you do not have a majority in the House of Commons. That's the situation they find themselves in, a bit short of being able to completely run the table, being in a situation where they...
Well, maybe if they didn't only care about the economy and what happens on the global stage, and actually start caring about what the people here are wanting and saying, then maybe they wouldn't be such a minority government after all, huh? Could do more stuff, but nope, don't get it in tune with the people. You could literally have like 80% if you would have just went left and right.
If they are going to get any bills passed,
which means going straight.
An awful lot passed for the brief spring sitting, 4 weeks or so, and such that sort of they have a lot of sort of things they have to pick up where they left off, including the first thing that the House is going to resume debate on this hour, C3, the bill to restore citizenship to the so-called lost Canadians. This is something court has ordered the government to do, change these rules, found them to be unconstitutional, and given them a deadline of November to get this done. It is Steve McKinnon who is the House leader who is in charge of getting Mark Carney's legislative agenda through. He was speaking to reporters earlier this morning talking about what he hopes to be a different tone, a more kind of productive working atmosphere in the House of Commons this fall than perhaps they had seen in the previous Parliament. Reaching out, he said, to Conservative voters and through them Conservative MPs, asking them to, in his words, pitch in dealing with some national priorities. Take a look.
You know, a wise man once said, you don't negotiate on principles, but you can negotiate on details. And we're wide open to talk with the opposition about how we can make a piece of legislation happen. So I would say to Mr. Poilievre and to those that are around him, listen to those Conservative voters. Listen to premiers like Danielle Smith, like Doug Ford, like Tim Houston, who are pitching in. And I think reaping the electoral rewards for pitching in and helping build this country, that is very much the spirit of the times. The spirit of the times, I think, is no longer around three-word slogans and facile solutions.
One of the things he was asked about is the fate of C2, the border security bill, which it must be said also has a number of immigration measures in it. It is a government priority, but there were a number of critiques of it from different corners. Civil rights organizations unsure whether this bill could set a dangerous precedent, and also people concerned about Canada's digital sovereignty and believing that not enough within that bill to protect Canadian digital rights from being threatened by American tech.
Dang.
So would they need to amend perhaps C2 going forward. McKinnon suggested that the place to do that would
They got me.
committee. Parties help to get it to committee to consider if there are options perhaps to improve the bill to address these concerns. So the exact opposite of a my way or highway approach. He does seem open
Okay, we win this round.
to working with opposition MPs to make things better.
Unless they go and win overtime.
He suggested that there will be an opposition day, a chance for the Conservatives to set the agenda of the House, debate a motion of their choosing, have a vote on it, amplify some of their own issues, some of their own voices on supporting them. Right,
damn, that's not good.
I don't give up so easily.
Out of Stephen McKinnon about what will be probably the highlight of the fall sitting, that is the federal budget, which we are expecting in a few weeks next month. Of course, this is something Mark Carney's government did not get done before summer recess. Punted to fall.
Chad, why don't you like Marvel Rivals?
An opportunity to show the government's work in terms of how much things are going to cost, to put everything together under one fiscal framework, and yes, to reveal how high the federal deficit might be, given all the priorities they've been talking about. The new housing agency they unveiled yesterday, the major projects.
You don't know?
Key priorities for the economy that
Dang.
we were talking about last week, and of course, the defense industrial strategy, which could take billions to execute. Lost in all this, perhaps, and this came up at the major projects announcement, more of a focus on the climate. Carney told us last week, the Prime Minister did, that there would be a climate competitiveness strategy unveiled by his government going forward. Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party, didn't seem to be buying it, that the Liberals were really taking climate issues seriously anymore. She said rage farming had caused them to scrap the consumer carbon tax, and she was telling reporters today that she simply believes her party is becoming a lone voice in terms of standing up for climate as a priority.
I'm not wedded to a market pricing the way to reduce emissions, but if you're not going to have a foundation work what you put in place instead, and if you put a pause on the EV mandate, and you talk about
damn.
She may feel that, but we also know that there are liberal MPs for climate issues who may be very important. They have formed a new caucus inside the Liberal Party to continue to advocate for these issues, argue against perhaps the abandonment of some things that the Trudeau government was doing for years. So this is definitely a policy area to watch.
And of course, all eyes will also be on how Poilievre and Carney have their face-off for the first time in quite a period. That's a few hours. So, Janet, could there be some common ground found between the Liberals and Conservatives on some policies?
Well, it depends. If you're asking about something that happens in front of the cameras, like question period, I would expect a very vigorous debate. These two have not, as you say, had a chance to really have a good back and forth since the election debates last spring. So I would anticipate some real contrasting positions by the two of them. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty of sort of different aspects legislatively, is there room to sort of meet in the middle and work out some compromises? Poilievre speaking to this caucus yesterday suggests there would be.
A little help, please.
We're going to work to turn things around. We'll work with anybody from any party in order to make this session as successful as it can be. That's why we're so cooperative in helping things as that we agreed with in the spring session. That's why we'll work even harder in the fall session. We will oppose things we're against, support things we're for, but we will also propose solutions to the problems Liberals have created.
Clearly you needed some help.
And his deputy leader, Melissa Lensman, also on her way in this morning was talking about sort of opposing when it makes sense, supporting things when it makes sense, and in her words, exposing what the Liberals aren't telling everybody as they go along. Look, this is very much a two-party show in this House of Commons. They have such an overwhelming number of the seats split between the two of them. There are still some other parties member caucus. We are going to hear from Mark Leary very shortly about his party's priorities, things they might be negotiating
you wouldn't see me again?
Okay, they win this one. Unless we grab it in the last second here. Come on, get in there, overtime it. I kept it live for a few seconds. Can they get in it? No.
Do you think there's a it's narrowly more likely they hold rates?
Well, we're just saying it's not a slam dunk. There's certainly a lot of things that are not going well in Canada. We had a very slow...
You got a smoothie? Nice. Nice. After this match, I'm probably going to switch to Fortnite.
...are losing jobs, particularly trade-related. And yet on the other side of the picture, inflation is actually not looking very solid at all. In fact, core measures of inflation have been re-accelerating, and the breadth, the number of categories that are rising by 3% also getting larger. Couple that with the fact that we're still not convinced that rate cuts are actually going to solve what ails Canada right now, and maybe it's not such a sure thing when you have those other factors to consider as well.
That's interesting. So it's hard, obviously, to separate out the effects of tariffs on inflation, but even if you do have a stab at that, there is still upward pressure on prices in our economy.
Well, that's the issue, and the concern for a central bank in this type of environment is not so much what's the direct impact of tariffs, because you can sort of parcel those out to a certain extent. It's what is the bleed through. Now, Canada is not facing reciprocal tariffs, so we're not concerned about inflation coming through on things that we're buying from the United States. We're focusing more on some of the other categories, the breadth across which we're seeing those prices rise. And the Bank of Canada is going to want to be really careful that it doesn't ease in one area and amplify inflation in another. I remember we've all just gone through one of the biggest price shocks of our entire lives. Prices of things like food and rent are up over 25% compared to where they were before COVID. It's hard to look at this environment, see inflation core measures heating up a little bit and saying, oh, absolutely, we should cut in this environment. Particularly because, as I mentioned, we can cut rates all we want. It's not going to solve a trade war with America.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've heard this in the past. Monetary policy is only good for some things, so it's not great for a trade war.
Well, in particular, because this trade war is creating such a fragmentation across Canada. I mean, you go down to Windsor, Ontario, that unemployment rate is 11%. It's a crisis there. And then take a look at places like Quebec City or Victoria. The unemployment rate is actually quite low. There's no major shock in play in those areas. So the Bank of Canada, unfortunately, eases for everybody. I wish there was sort of a central bank for southwestern Ontario that could ease 100, 150 basis points for that region and tighten in other areas of the economy. So this is a complicated area for the Bank of Canada to traverse. And let's say the Bank of Canada does cut on Wednesday. I would just be cautious about saying that's necessarily going to save Canada, and particularly those pockets that are really hurting. We need federal government intervention, provincial government intervention to really support those sectors that need help right now. But falling back on the idea that central banks are always the saviors of the economy, I think it's just worth questioning that a little bit right now.
I'm old and cynical, Francis. I think companies increase prices whenever they can. I mean, it's your costs are up, they increase prices. Why not? And I guess you have cover to increase your prices in the current environment. People are used to inflation.
Well, I'm slightly less old and cynical. I mean, yes, that is true. You would see some companies possibly taking advantage, but let's remember that depends who you're selling your products to. There's a fragmentation not just by geography in Canada, but also by income levels. Low and middle income Canadians have suffered through inflation much more than high income Canadians. They're much more leveraged to food and shelter, where prices have gone up substantially more. They haven't seen the same household income increases. They're not benefiting from that stock market acceleration to the same extent. So who you are as a business determines whether you can increase prices or not. And if you're selling to low and middle income Canadians right now, you may say, oh, now's an opportunity, maybe we could slide one under, but you probably don't want to push back on it.
So bottom line, you say that there's now more balance and possibility the Bank of Canada stands pat.
I don't think it's a clear-cut conversation that we're going to walk in the room and say, absolutely, now is the time for us to cut rates and save Canada. And it's worth considering whether rates and inflation because that's the problems that are facing us. And the Bank of Canada has time to assess a little bit more, pay attention to some of that inflation data,
let's go.
Evolution of trade, and then make a decision.
Easy peasy.
This is a bit of a tangent,
That's one of my superpowers. But you mentioned housing inflation. The government saying we're setting up this Build Canada agency. Talk about 4,000 homes, but last I saw